Hello students, how are you all? I hope everything is fine. Today we will see Gauss's law from class 12 electrostatics with some examples to clarify this law, and watch this short video till end to understand Gauss's law completely and then practice questions from books like NCERT, HC Verma, DC Pandey, etc. or whatever you have. You will definitely get a good hold on these topics. So let's begin. Our first point is the Gauss's theorem. It says that the total electric flux over any closed surface is 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by that surface. Now here, what is electric flux? Electric flux actually it is the total number of electric lines of forces which passes through any surface per unit area. Okay, so these are the electric flux, and mathematical expression of this theorem is something like this, that is phi equals integral of E vector dot ds vector, that is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times q. Okay, now we will see the proof for Gauss's law. Consider charge q enclosed by a sphere of radius r. So look, this is a sphere of radius capital R, and the electric field due to this sphere is directed outwards, perpendicularly outwards, and the area vector is also perpendicularly outwards. Okay, so we see total flux, that is phi E here stands for electric flux. Okay, we have magnetic flux also, so phi E denotes the electric flux. This is equal to line integral of E vector dot ds vector, and here integral means that we are taking a flux for unit area. Okay, for unit area at that sphere, so we integrate all the part of that sphere to take the full total flux. Okay, now we see the angle between area vector, that is perpendicularly outwards, and the electric field vector, both are at the same point and in the same direction, so angle is 0 degree, and when dot product is removed, we add cos theta, so cos 0 degree which is equal to 1, so we have finally E into ds. Okay, now what we can write over here is E equals 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square, since we studied this in electrostatics part 1, and E into ds equals, ds actually it is area, so area of a sphere equals 4 pi r square. Okay, so we can write 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square into integral of this area vector, and we can write the area vector as 4 pi r square. So finally we can cut some things like r square and 4 pi. Okay, to get the total flux equals q upon epsilon naught, which is nothing but 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge in that closed surface. Now we will see certain examples based on the Gauss's law. Okay, so our first example is, it is let a charge q be enclosed by a cube. Okay, so here it is a cube, and in this cube we have a total overall charge q, so total flux it is 1 upon epsilon naught into total charge. What is the flux linked with any one face of the cube? So for any one face of the cube we have total 6 faces, so we will divide the total flux by 6 to get the flux linked with any one face of that cube. Okay, next example says there are two spheres, sphere 1 and sphere 2. Okay, sphere 1 has plus q charge and sphere 2 has no charge at all. So we know that a positive charge always gives out electric lines of forces in perpendicular direction, so the electric lines of forces will go in a straight away path like this, not curved path. Okay, but definitely some of them will pass through the second sphere also. Okay, so what will be the total flux on both the spheres? You will think that sphere 2 and sphere 1 both have electric fluxes, but you are wrong, because only sphere 1 has electric flux, since only it has a positive charge. So sphere 1 has a total flux of q upon epsilon naught, and this is also plus q. Okay, but sphere 2 doesn't have any electric flux at all, that is zero electric flux in sphere 2. Why it is zero? So we see the number of electric lines of forces which are coming inside the second sphere are equal to the number of electric lines of forces which are going outwards from this second sphere. So the net field, so the net electric flux in the second sphere is 0. Hope you are understanding. So here is our third example. There are three spheres in a setup something like this, and all the parts have certain definite charges as marked in the diagram. So flux due to first sphere S1, total flux equals the total charge in this sphere, which is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q4 upon epsilon naught. Okay, and what about the second sphere? Flux due to S2, it is nothing but the total charge in the second sphere. So we will add all the charges in the second sphere, that is Q2 plus Q3 plus Q5 plus Q6, as you can see from here. Okay, and we'll divide it by epsilon naught to get the total flux of second sphere. Likewise, we can calculate the flux due to S3, the third sphere. This is equal to, you can see the total charge, that is Q3 plus Q4 plus Q6 plus Q7 upon epsilon naught. Okay, now let's see the fourth and the last example of this video, that is example 4. It says it have 3 points. First point says that q charge placed at center of sphere, that means a sphere having charge q at the center, so the total flux will definitely be q upon epsilon naught. Not a good question, but what happens when the radius of sphere is increased? So the total flux remains same, as it depends upon the total charge only and not the area, because total flux is what? Q upon epsilon naught, and it doesn't have a role about the total area. Okay, and when we cut in two equal parts, when we cut the sphere in two equal parts, what will happen? The charge will get half. Okay, so we will draw a hypothetical Gaussian surface over here and find the total charge, and then just we will divide it by 2, because it is cut in two equal parts, so divide it by 2 to get the final charge. Okay students, I hope that you have understood all about the Gauss's law. It is nothing very much complex, but you need to understand the main things, and just note down the examples and do practice the questions. That will help a lot in doing further more questions in your exams also. Okay, so subscribe our channel to have amazing videos like this, and take care.